Oh, look at that.
Wow. That was my guitar when I was 12 years old. That was my first one.
It sort of looks the part. Lightning struck, and we wrote a song in a couple hours, and the spirit of this record was with that in mind.
Well, it definitely felt live, like, okay, here's a live band in a room. We want to tap into that.
A big part of the magic is that we really shared in this process artistically as much as we've ever shared in any record, I think.
That's what happens when I play with these guys. I play better than I played with anybody else.
This is what I recorded the first tape on.
That's the Mama song?
Yeah. I was pretty lucky. To have a clubhouse, a headquarters, it's all kind of under one roof. I think it's an achievement, and I think we're all proud of it.
I remember right when we got in the old place on Terry, within 2 months, like, I built a skate ramp in there, because I was like, it's gonna be a clubhouse, man. We're gonna play, and we can skate, and roll down, hang with your guys, make music, go shoot some hoops. Once we got kicked out of that place and had to buy a place, we were like, okay, like, this is ours now. This is for real. Like, we had a big canvas.
I love that sound. Just tuning up, getting ready. Pearl Jam have been painting on this canvas for 30 plus years. Beautiful music, life-changing shows, challenge, tragedy. And on their new album, Renew Life and Triumph. And look at this, we are inside the HQ. And for the first time ever, we get to see this canvas and every brushstroke. Let's fire it up with all 5 members of our favorite band, Pearl Jam.
Or did I say something wrong? Or did I walk out a step? To you do I still belong? Do I have to be scared? Oh, I'm not saying I know. I don't feeling unclear. We all like control. I surrender to you, dear. You're hurting yourself. It's plain to see. I think you're hurting yourself. 'Cause to hurt me, we used to laugh, we used to sing, we used to dance. We had our own scene. Hurting yourself. It's plain to see. I think you're hurting yourself. 'Cause you hurt me. We used to laugh, we used to sing, we used to dance, we used to believe.
Where you want us?
I think, Jeff, they've
Do you
got you right there on
recognize
your
your-
special stool.
Oh yeah, look at that, my name. That's the best part.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Wiz, who used to be our lighting guy who passed a few years ago, he wrote something on the bottom of it I didn't know was there until just a couple years ago.
Me as a music fan, a lifelong music fan, to be here today, to be in an environment like this, which has been so lovingly curated, the life that's in this space that is your lives, but also what you have shared with us and taken on the road and brought back here. It is overwhelming. And it was beautiful to come here and to immediately get to hear new songs being played in the room. So I can't thank you enough, Pearl Jam, for everything, but today is like a high point. So thank you so much for having us today.
You're welcome.
Feel the pressure of the 10 Club on my shoulders. So I wondered when I walked in here how this changed the psychology of being the band in 2005 or whenever you opened the doors, how it felt to know that you had a place that was purely dedicated to Pearl Jam and you could come in here and be that, and perhaps you could also leave here and not be that.
Well, we used to have a place more centrally located in the city, and when we were kind of getting moved out of there, we were a bit at a loss. You know, it was an older building and we had an attachment to it. And then we found this kind of nondescript rectangle of a building. We were fortunate that it was more what we bring to it as opposed to the actual building or structure. And then we got it sounding good. A lot of people worked hard. You know, I think all of us to have a clubhouse, a headquarters, it's all kind of under one roof, from our political activism to some of the, what, we sell things.
Yeah, you do.
Merchandise and T-shirts and posters, and but it's a family. Everybody who works in these different departments, it's kind of a family. So this is a comfortable place, and it's not often empty. There's usually, if you think you're just going to run down and use the studio or record, or someone's usually practicing for a benefit. Someone's got kids, tutoring kids and kind of doing experimental recording. That was a few weeks ago. That looked really interesting. But it's a lively building. It's like it's a healthy vessel and the blood's pumping through it.
When you look up and everywhere you see, from a fan's point of view, the tour stuff, the stuff that was on stages and videos, album covers, like, it's just everywhere.
Oh, look, this was from the old warehouse, the cover of Lost Dogs. We took the whole wall. We just pulled the wall. Oh, that's the back of it, right? Because there's all the titles on the right.
And that's the front right there, the garbage can.
Oh, and you saw these, right?
Yeah,
letters.
that's, yeah.
Which you had the E for a while, right?
I did, and you
I
had
had the J. I had the J.
Oh, the J.
Yeah. Like I was in the garage in Montana for 20 years, I think.
Yeah, me too. Just sitting in the garage.
So if you came down, it just said Paul Am.
But Jeff and I, we made those together. Yeah, we had a projector and then projected and then we cut them
And that's what we've been staring at for our whole lives. You guys just literally cut, like, they did a good job. It's neat.
Yeah, you really get a sense that, like you say, there's, in particular right now, it's humming. There's an album, and things are about to move, and the tour's about to start, and people are packaging things, and things are in boxes. And so when you walk in here, and it's not being used for lots of other really important, equally important interests, but it's like album time, and it's been a minute, how does that make you feel? Dark matter, this whole new thing's about to really happen.
I mean, I'm super excited about it. The fact that it's, we've just started going over these songs and relearning them after recording them a little while ago, and then how quick that process was. I can't wait to get out there, and we have a whole new thing we're working on right now, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, you probably played some of these songs for 3 hours, not even. Because if you think about the amount of time you actually wrote them, recorded them, laid them down, moved on, and then you've been in here for how?
Not too long.
This is day 3.
Yeah.
Day 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of prep before that,
Right.
Individually. But
Yeah.
we've all played with each other for a long time, obviously, and so that can all click back in relatively easy, I think.
It feels like that when you watch the band. It's overwhelming watching everyone move with such instinct and this kind of chemistry that you have and have been working together on for so long. But at the same time, this record feels dangerous, and I said that to a couple of you. Like, it definitely has an energy that's just fighting to even get out of this room. It's grateful, but I wouldn't say it's all graceful. Some of it is wild on this record to me.
I did get it. We've been sending it to, or I have been sending it to a few people, emailing them the record. And I got an interesting one that said it was soaring, but it was grounded. And it was kind of in your face, but also on its back foot. And
Wait, who's beating me at my own game? Who wrote that?
I did. No, but those are things you kind of can't manifest, or you can't consciously. I mean, it's a cool destination to get to if you achieve that, if they're correct. But it's not something you could kind of consciously aim for, I don't think. So it's cool that it happened, if indeed it did.
I wonder how it's feeling getting some feedback from people now, because obviously you work on this as a band, you put it out, people start to reflect on it, even people you're close with. I mean, Jeff, I felt like when you played the album for the first time, at least in Los Angeles, I was there, Troubadour, I believe, and it was a packed room and everyone was excited to hear it. But I could see that it was already kind of overwhelming for you releasing that record and just letting people hear it that day.
Yeah, I think when you start to, I think the same thing happened today, like when you feel energy coming back to you when you're playing the songs. I think the first times that you feel that energy come back to you, it sort of changes how you think about the record. I think all I think about is like, I can't wait to play these songs live, and for the songs to sort of like morph into this thing that they always do. But I mean, it's exciting when it starts to feel different. You know, the hair stands up on your neck a little bit, and you're anxious, and some of it's probably like, man, I hope this one goes over. I hope we're playing this song live in 3 years or in 5 years. You know, like that's the goal, is to try to have more songs stick for longer.
But normally as fans, we have to wait for you to figure that out before we have that experience in the room as well. But I got that experience on the first play. That was what was crazy, was hearing, that healthy sense of anxiety and energy coming through on the actual record. And we'll talk about that and give Andy his flowers and whatever. But it made me just think a little bit now when you were talking about how you change and how when the music gets played, it changes for you. That normally really used to start with some kind of critical reaction. And so the question, I guess, maybe Stone, is like, how you quantify critical opinion and complimentary opinion, and where the use is for both, if there is any at all, when it comes to releasing records for Pearl Jam now, like in 2024.
I think it's always a balance of sort of, you take a little from the outside, you kind of know in your heart what feels good. You know, we've had a long kind of run, so we've had a lot of opportunity to kind of be up and down and still have it sort of all kind of come out in the wash, in terms of like, some records you come out and they're not, you know, critically acclaimed, but 10 years later, there's a song in there you realize is like your favorite song. And it means something, you know, you realize something in that song that is still talking to you 10 years later. So it's all a little smudgy in general, but you know, I like a review that's critical, you know. I think you get something out of that. It's nice to read a glowing review, but I do think, you know, somebody who sort of parses it a little bit more sometimes, is you get something out of that, you can learn something.
I was never entirely sure how Pearl Jam dealt with compliments. And I wondered whether they were ever kind of useful to you in that regard, because I felt like you were always trying to achieve something that had a different authenticity than perhaps someone else's filter.
Yeah. I think you filter the good things that are said, but it's even more important to filter the other stuff. I mean, you know, it's good to have your, what's the Soundgarden lyric? You know, you look at it with your good eye closed. But maybe there's some constructive criticism in there. And usually it's more about a live show than a record or something. But I think it's okay to be aware. You know, maybe there's a bit of truth in there, or maybe something that you were trying to ignore and you're like, oh, okay, it's, or maybe somebody won't notice, but it's apparent and something for you to work on. So there's something to be said to take in what could be critical. And to be honest, you're probably going to find more meaning in that than what you can get out of the positive stuff. I mean, what would be good to read something positive about this one is that people respect our kind of artistic direction. You know, and if it wasn't for everybody, or if the live show wasn't for everybody or something, then that's okay, because art is subjective. But it is a step for us, whether it's a step forward or, you know, any direct, it is a step, and it's an artistic step. And again, it's subjective, but we believe in it. And, you know, we got some good direction and worked with some good people, and Andrew Watt in particular. Yeah. He was really able to kind of focus the band and focus on the band and keep us focused on the music and really nothing but the music. And you know, thinking back, I think that's why the lyrics came quick, because I didn't want to leave there without them being done. You know, usually there's at least a handful out of 20 songs that are worth writing to, or, you know, you got to catch up. And it was important because we were so kind of collectively focused and functioning as an organism and a vessel, that was the time to get it all done. So there was a big inspiration to complete it. And I think that helped the record immensely, because it was like done.
Got me running, but the reason never ends. Got me running, or else I'm running. You got me gunning as you're going, and the teasing never ends. I'll be running till the second coming. Dictator, lost in the tunnel, and the tunnel ain't no fun. Now I'm lost in all the shit you're flooding. Dictator, lost in the tunnel, and the tunnel's getting funner like the sewage in the bottom, 'cause he left the fucking water running.
What were you thinking about when you said to Andy, and you were finishing up, well, you're in the midst of making Earthling, man, I can't wait for the guys to come down here and feel what I'm feeling. What were you feeling that you knew the guys would react to?
This guy Andrew, he works in a certain way, and maybe it's an acquired taste, or certainly different than we had been working.
Guys, we got a great idea.
He's got a bit of a freight train energy about him, and also like a thank goodness he found an occupation where he could put his like bizarre kind of ADD into practice. But I think the idea was based on the results that I was feeling from this kind of solo excursion, and because that was never meant to be. That was just, I went down to play a Global Citizen event, and then went and saw him in the studio, just had a visit, and then we picked up a couple guitars, and all of a sudden we had something, and then we extended a couple days, and then we were writing more, and then that turned into a thing. And actually that, we were gonna call the solo record World's Greatest Drummers, because we'd already had Taylor Hawkins play on something for maybe Elton, and then we had Chad, and then we pretty much sure we could get Matt, and then Stuart Copeland, and then we were just kind of thinking our dream. So it wouldn't be about the songs all, it would just be about the great drummers. And that's when we came up with Stevie Wonder. And that if you had a record called Greatest Drummers, you'd have to have Stevie Wonder on it.
Too High.
So
One of the great drum tracks of all time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So that's why we reached him. He ended up playing harp, but that turned into Waiting for Stevie. It's a turnaround to a song you didn't ask about yet. But going back to the question you did ask was, wanting to see if we could work with this guy. It was like surfing a great wave, and you wanted your friends to come surf it. And you didn't know if they'd like the takeoff, or it was maybe a little too shallow, and the choral was sharp, and
It's a big swell.
big swell. You never get to stop paddling.
You didn't tell us much. You just said, hey, there's this guy. Do you want to come down?
It was going to be a surprise.
So, but I think he just wanted to see the look on our face that first day, maybe. It's like,
It
what
might be-
the heck?
yeah,
I
might be
think
right.
I was 3 days in, and I said, hey, can we have a band meeting?
No,
Like,
yeah, that happened.
Is everybody good? Is everybody good with this?
Yeah.
Because every once in a while you get these looks from across the room, like just because the energy's, it's full on.
Yeah.
And once everybody was sort of felt like everybody was in, then it sort of was fine. But
But the proof is in the pudding. I mean, in 2 days, we recorded Scared of Fear and React Respond in 4 hours. So,
And about 6 other
with
things.
his gear, we kind of just all played through it, and it sounded really good right off the bat. So already we were sort of like, okay, well, that sounds great. And then his style is, he's got a guitar on the whole time. He's, you're playing with him, he's playing with you. It's he's playing kind of with the band.
Has anyone ever done that with you before in a studio?
We've never done anything like that before. So that was a little bit of jumping off the cliff, but again, his enthusiasm and his understanding of the band, his love for the band, his ability to play any of our songs at any point and kind of know the history of the band, all the B-sides, everything that we've ever done, and then to be cheering us on in a way that you'd laugh at it and think this is kind of silly, but then also it was infectious, and you would just end up being sort of caught up in his enthusiasm and his confidence about it,
This band is just in him.
Yeah, and that's why he really is the perfect producer for us, because we're so part of his childhood. He understands us so well that there's no color he's bringing to this band that makes people go, oh, that sounds like, or this is something different. He actually kind of can fit in a way that sounds right. And that's just how he produces. He plays along. He's got to feel the music in the way that the band does,
But I think about someone being a super fan of your band, coming into the room knowing I got the skills, knowing I got the onions, wearing the Pearl Jam t-shirt. And I wonder whether there's going to be someone in the band who just thinks, and this is totally valid in my opinion, this is great, you can play every riff we ever wrote and you love us and you're like one of our biggest fans, but is there something here discerning beyond being a fan who could take us to somewhere new? When did he show his hand and you realize okay, this isn't just going to be a fun session with someone who loves our band, but this guy's actually going to push us on this record into something we haven't done before?
I'd say day one.
Yeah, it happened kind of immediately in terms of just hearing playback. Hearing, like a track you recorded the day before, and he sort of, brought it to a place where it's, semi-finished. But for me, like, the sounds were good off the bat, and the way that he recorded in the first session, which was like, I don't know, 10 days or two weeks or something. Yeah, the sounds coming off the speakers immediately was top notch. So I think the quality of his production was apparent to me immediately. But one unique way that he works at that session was like his mixing board was in the tracking room. So it's like normally producers like a separate room for that stuff so they can zero in the tones and everything. But
they're not allowed within the,
Yeah, but
the trainers and the animals, there's a separation.
He doesn't get that.
Yeah, but I think like there's so much prep work for a situation like that the tones are dialed in. So yeah, it did happen kind of immediately in terms of the sound of the thing and how it will sound in the future.
Especially if React Respond was in that first session, like you say, Stone, because
3 hours. I mean, Scared of Fear and React Respond were
day one.
Six hours total, and those two basic tracks were cut, and some semblance of a vocal was already going on them. So again, in that first moment, we really captured something, and then we recorded some more after that, and we got a few more from the record, but we also recorded some that maybe they didn't sort of rise to the level of maybe those tracks, and we had a kind of a year to kind of think about it, and then go back in and do another session with him that was even more fruitful than the first one, where we were all like kind of ready for him and ready for what we had done good and how we could just keep doing it, which ended up being mostly about mixing it up. Every idea gets ripped open, quickly rearranged, everybody's in on everything, and I think that's a big part of the magic, is just that we really shared in this process, artistically as much as we've ever shared in any record, I think,
Guitar Alley.
Guitar Alley, yeah.
Each one has a story. Is there a particular story is there one that really jumps out?
Shit. How did Joe Strummer
Gets later.
Oh my God.
See, we're all color coordinated, you see.
See, that's mine right there.
Green.
Mine's the remake. Like, that's the real one.
Would you just love if you came in here and everyone just put a piece of tape on every guitar that just had Joe Strummer's Telecaster on it?
We'll make them.
I mean, I know I have a couple, like that bass sticking out right there is the second bass I ever bought. That's a Green River bass.
The one without
Ibanez.
the case?
With they have the crazy headstock. Probably
I get a case for that one, right?
I don't think I ever had a case for it.
I feel like you should get a case for that.
I should, yeah.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
It does stand to reason that there's a lot of instruments here, and you've done a lot of shows and a lot of touring. Are a lot of these from your travels? Like, do you actively go searching for things, or are they gifts, or how does it sort of play out?
I mean, it looks maybe a little extravagant, but if you think that you buy
A couple guitars a year.
2-3 guitars a year and you're pretty specific about it,
That's true.
it's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years, yeah. That's true.
And I think we've been giving away lots of guitars in the last 5-10, so.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
This is your first.
I haven't seen this. Look at that.
That was my guitar when I was 12 years old. That was my first one. Pretty good for $115.
It sort of looks the part.
Yeah. Oh God, that neck is terrible. It's very fat.
Baseball bat, right?
Yeah.
Did it feel special in that moment when you were recording Scared of Fear and you were like, okay, this is the way he suggests we do it, and this is how we're going to do it?
Well, it definitely felt live. Like, okay, here's a live band in a room. We want to tap into that way of playing, with some modern recording technology. But it felt like, okay, we just learned this song. Let's rip through it a few times, as a band.
Everybody in this group is pretty adept at bringing in complete songs as demos and playing all the instruments themselves. And I think through those years of writing songs, then you can kind of procrastinate and say, okay, that's all good, but we'll write a bridge. That needs a bridge, but let me take it home, I'll study it, write a bridge, or you can. But this was like, okay, we need a bridge. Okay, just give us a second. And then we'd kind of just do it right there.
Yeah.
Matt's not leaving the kit. He's just kind of taking a second, just waiting. And then let's try this. Okay, double that. Okay. It was a lot of that. That maybe hadn't happened in a while. And I think it also gave us all a sense of ownership, feeling like that we were all part of every song. It was truly a group effort. And those things go a long way for the future of the songs or the future of the performances of those songs, because we all feel invested.
It's also jumping off a cliff of having you bring in your baby or you have an idea and then immediately it's like, oh no, actually we needed one more chord here and we needed, and
Chop off the arm.
Yeah, but you get used to that and then you have that revelation of hearing it back, again a year later or something and going, oh my God, that's fucking so great. I'm so glad we tweaked that or we did it. And we all were part of that equation. So whatever the magic is of the record, it is that, 5 points of view, being in the room together and kind of working it out, what you get out of that. And you get something original for us, I think, more original than you do from us all kind of individually in our sort of silos, kind of bringing something in. Which can
And
be
then
cool too.
add to that the quickness of that process, and that's keeping everybody playing it kind of you're getting recordings of the first few times you're playing it, where you haven't straightened stuff out. I mean,
Dangerous.
And especially Matt, you're getting some of the,
Too soon. We're gonna get there. That's coming.
And then you
Trust
also
me.
end up writing maybe a little
It's
bit
the
more
finale.
caveman part. You have, 5 minutes, you got to figure something out
Yeah,
quick. So
yeah.
you're like, okay, what's the most important thing I need to figure out? It's like, where's the root note? Maybe I can just do this and not do that. Or, you're like subtracting. So you end up you're simplifying in a way. And I think the arrangements on this record are really solid. And I think they're really like,
Some of the best.
And we've done some of that historically, all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah,
we
of
wrote
course.
songs this
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And I think if we truly have perspective on our history, we go, that moment, that like basically lightning struck and we wrote a song in a couple hours. And I think the spirit of this record was sort of with that in mind, like, oh yeah, like we're pretty good at that. We're pretty good at that of like trusting each other and trusting ourselves to like, listening back to the record, that's my favorite part, is like thinking like, wow, Ed was coming up with those lyrics as we were coming up with these chords and the thing coalesced in an hour or two, 95% of it.
Yeah.
That's like the beauty of being this far along and being a band, is that reminding ourselves like we can make music that way. And it really is trusting each other and trusting each other to chop the arm off or whatever needs to be done to get it to the next place.
and as cohesive as the group was at the beginning, and there's a lot of chops on our first few records, but everybody's such a better player now, I'm about the same with the lyrics, but as far as the playing, it's pretty extraordinary.
I noticed that you didn't finish the record in the basement. As charming as that basement is and as great as it sounds, I noticed that you went to the Mount Olympus of music to finish the record. Shangri-La, one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Yeah.
How was that sort of experience going up and being in a completely different environment to how you started the record, and how did that help finish and shape it differently, if it did?
I'll just say, the first time I went to visit Andrew when we were talking, the basement and the old kind of dilapidated mansion or whatever. I mean, the only thing fancy about that place was the zip code.
Isn't that Charlie Chaplin's old place?
His manager's old place.
Yeah, screening
Man's
room
place.
or something.
Yeah, it was kind of one of the original screening rooms. As you walk down the red staircase, there's a little room on the right, and that was where they had the two large projectors and two slits in the wall. Going into the room about this big, and then you have a drum kit, a mix board, pianos, keyboards, guitar. It's all kind of it's compact and yet incredibly efficient, And then there's another staircase on the backside, which was integral to getting some incredible drum sounds, because they had those
Stairway, yeah.
two mics in the top of the stairway. So then all of a sudden you had these ability, you could get a John Bonham type sound. But and then that place got flooded and was kind of never to be used again. We were kind of scrambling, and there was a couple of places we definitely knew we didn't want to record. And then Rick Rubin was kind enough to help us. Like he was a parachute. We were going to hit the ground unceremoniously, but it was a parachute, and where we landed was this place called Shangri-La, which a history for all of us, but me growing up with the Last Waltz, and it was a really, there's a vibe there that if you're attenuated to it, it's palpable, and I feel like I was able to tap into it. I think we all did.
Were there moments where you felt the spirit of the band and everything else, not to be too caught about it, but was in you?
You know, I again, because I really wanted to keep up with everybody, and things were moving quick, and didn't want it to be homework. And there's an old school bus, again, kind of dilapidated but vibey, and I just had a typewriter in there and a...
That's Bob Dylan's old tour bus.
Yeah. Yeah, I was taking stuff home. We were staying in a little joint down the street, and I was taking stuff home and working till late, maybe 4 in the morning, and getting up at noon, and then going back and more writing, singing, and then they'd work on something else, and I'd do more writing. It just kind of never stopped, and it was good. It wasn't, I didn't find it pleasant, but I don't think writing lyrics usually is. It's just they're puzzles, and then you the sense of accomplishment, or that they reflect the song or represent the song, or that it is the song. But then when these guys get a hold of it, and you know, there's probably been a few times that I didn't hand out lyric sheets in the past, but these ones I was pretty proud of. You know, here, check it out and let me know. And Jeff wrote a piece called Won't Tell, and we really went back and forth on it, and then there were parts where we wanted to keep, and then other parts, and so we really I enjoyed working with you, like, okay, am I making you proud with that one? Is that the best way to say that idea, because it's his idea?
Yeah.
In the end, it's really having these guys be excited about it, and they were, so that was encouraging.
Jeff, in a piece that just came out a few hours ago, as of time of filming right now, Andrew said there's a cool story about Won't Tell, and he said, you should ask Jeff. So is there a story that you feel comfortable sharing about that song?
Well, yeah, there's a story, and I think Stone talked about it. I wasn't sure how much
You're
I wanted
not
to
supposed
reveal.
to
I didn't realize, just like I can't stop myself. I love it so much.
Well, I will say that the best part for me was that it was a brand new way of writing and collaborating. It was sort of, I have a version of the song, and Andrew had said, hey, you got something? And so I played for him, because that's great. He goes, what if we just give Ed the lyrics, don't play him the song, the band works up a version of it, we tweaked a couple things, and then just see how it works out. And so to hear the melody and the phrasing that he chose was like literally like hair standing up on my neck, going like, whoa, this is a cool way to do this. And then even further down the road, the words got totally changed, and then it turned into like his interpretation of a dream that I had. So it was like, it was one more further removed from a dream, so it seemed dimensional to me in a way that, I'd never been involved with songwriting-wise. So again, at this point, 30 years down the road with the band, to have there was a new thing.
Yeah.
This is like, like you kind of live for it,
There's a shitty little lamp.
Wow.
It was more important to me to get the stencil right than write a good song.
Look at the number on it. And look at the number on it as well. Like,
Yeah, that's my old San Diego numbers. Yeah. But the thing is, in 3 weeks, this place will seem pretty empty.
yeah.
This all goes.
So how many of the guitars will go?
For me, 10, but
I'll have 6, maybe.
Yeah.
That's pretty much me right there. One,
Yep.
2. Oh, it's 10. Sorry.
There it is.
That was around earthquake weather period.
when you met Jack, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I met him. That was as big as anything. Meeting Jack and seeing Joe. Joe was the ultimate kind of connector of people. That was kind of like his whole thing. The more I read.
Were you at the Sky Church show? So we met him briefly at that show, but it was like, hey, we'd love you to do some shows with us or whatever. And then we heard after that he called a bunch of people to ask us
Pete.
about us.
Called Pete
Because,
Townsend.
hey, I met these guys, like, what, you know, tell me the story, you know? And then at the end of it, he agreed.
And Pete gave him a thumbs up, and he agreed to open or to play with us and tour. And then that December 22nd, he passed.
I love the directions you've gone on and albums you've made, and the journey that you've been on is far and wide. But I felt like Wreckage was a song where, I don't know whether it was Andrew or yourselves, but somehow a mirror of everything that we as the millions of fans around the world love about you in that particular bag, which is finding something really deep and meaningful to say, somehow translating it universally, and the band are just supporting you with everything that they have. And I just wondered what was going on the day that you recorded that. I think it's special. I think it is a Pearl Jam classic song.
Yeah.
I can't remember a thing.
Blackout.
I really don't.
Does it happen often?
Yeah, like I just, you know, it was just all part of that kind of hurricane of songs and bridges and choruses and outros and all these things. So, and then a lot of it I think was written on the mic, you know, just kind of, I think probably that one was a lot of just, you know, and Andrew would, to be honest, he'd start piss me off a little bit. And then I'd kind of try to like do something really good just to say like, fuck you. Back off. Seriously, I'd be like,
Yeah.
There was one day, I said, look, I need tonight off, or I need to sleep, or I need to do something. But you have, you know, work with Mike on this. Just, I'm trying to buy myself friggin' 8 hours or 10 hours of not, I just need to clear, because we're already 15 days in a row of just go. He said, I get it. I totally get it. Dude, I'm with you. I will stay an extra 3 weeks, whatever it takes. I will do this. I will do this. I said, okay, good, because come on, you know, it's going good, but it's just, something's gonna break here, you know. He said, so how about this? If you go home at 10, but before you go, if you can just if you get the bridge on the Stone thing, and then the outro on the other, and then if we can just do, and stay with us here, because we're gonna record that other thing.
Yeah.
3 more. So then that was one of those things I was like, all right, give me 10 minutes. I went in and fucking wrote and sang it. And I just wanted to get the fuck out. I just needed 8 hours to myself.
Yeah. I mean,
I needed to
I think that track is a standout for me personally. And I do remember recording the rhythm track. It sounded great, like really good chord progression. Everything was fitting great. But I remember like either you or Andrew, like you guys wanted a lift or a fill. You know, I overdubbed it, and then it sparked something in you guys when you were working on that. So I think like just getting the rhythm track right in all the spots that needed a lift, you know, like to hit that emotional spot that I didn't know if I had just learned the tune, because there were no lyrics at that point.
Yeah.
But I think like it was good to have Eddie and Andrew kind of like tune into, okay, here's a spot that could use something. So it was cool.
And let me clarify so I don't have to call him and apologize. But let me clarify that,
You can take it.
you know, that was part of being pushed, and we should be pushed. And you know, maybe when you're starting to feel a little shaky and vulnerable or whatever, that could be the opening to access some of the deeper shit that might be normally closed down. It's not like you have just a zipper. It's like you get into these layers, and maybe being on edge might be, I think, ended up being helpful. And so I appreciate the fact, you know, I mean, look, the whole band, we started this group as kind of, you know, where we all picked up instruments because in some ways it was a fuck you to authority, you know, or parents who wanted you to have a real job, or, you know, whatever. I think that's always been in us. So to have, you know, Andrew, you know, gave us a fire, you know, it wasn't, we were fighting with him, but it was good to be pushed, you know. And I don't think some of it would have happened quite the way it did if we hadn't been.
You got me running, you got me running, you got me running, nothing but running. Oh, people, let go, I'm gonna take on.
simple question. What got you to a place where the octopus came out and it just became a different experience?
Well, I think it was just the vibe of this session. The fact that it wasn't really like, or my tracks, the rhythm tracks, they happened pretty quickly. And so I think when I work that way, or when musicians work that way, it can you can sort of navigate a different approach as to opposed if you were like working on a song for two or 3 weeks and then tracking it.
You might overthink it a bit more and scale it back
possibly,
and start to be more restrictive.
possibly.
Right?
Yeah,
Get straightened out. Or something.
I mean, I definitely like to construct parts that I'm proud of, first and foremost. But the environment of the sessions it was really jovial and really fun, and so, but it did happen pretty quickly. Like we were talking about that earlier. So I didn't really know what I had or what we had after a day, or at the end of the day, it's like, what just happened? And so I'd come back and listen to a rough mix or that Andrew would do, or Paul, his engineer, and it sounded great, But he's a fan of drumming.
He's a fan of you.
He's a fan of drummers. Yeah, so he gets it,
Did he stick his head in your bass drum while you were playing?
I think he did.
First session, yeah.
I think he did. So it's really fun to work with guys like that,
So Mike, when you get in that place where it's like go time for you, it's like I don't think there's anything that can contain that. And I just wanted to get your take on how it was to record and get yourself into that place, because it's so appreciated on this album hearing you let loose like that.
Well, in terms of the leads and of what you're talking about, Andrew was very specific on like, you're gonna put a lead on every single song on this record and da 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 da, and and I was a little hesitant when I was hearing this from him. I was also excited because a lot of our records of late maybe didn't have as many leads on them, and depending on the songs that needed them or not.
And how do you feel at the time when, as a lead guitarist on paper, which I know you're more than that and you're more than a rhythm guitarist, but like you are an incredible lead guitar player. So when the song isn't asking for it perhaps in that moment, honest question, like how does that sort of feel at times?
For me, as a musician, I'm kind of more interested in writing songs too. So, and I've luckily in this band, I've been able to do that as much as my soul has needed it, I guess. So leads, that thing for me, I am a lead guitar player, that comes to me naturally. That comes to me somewhere it has to come from somewhere. It's a metaphysical process or something when it's at its best, when I'm not thinking about it. And if I'm keying into what the lyrics are telling me, or the tension of what the band is playing, and I have my own shit I'm dealing with, I can get that out that way, I think. But I can't think about it. It has to just come naturally, unless I'm thinking about it in terms of the beginning of Upper Hand. I wrote that lead out for that because it had to be a specific thing. But I need to feel it first.
So if I asked you what was going through your mind or what you remember about recording the solo for Stevie, you would probably give a similar answer to Eddie, which is I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I want it to be as natural and visceral and explosive and feeling as it can, and that can only happen when I'm just into the song. That's what happens when I play with these guys. I play better than I played with anybody else. And when I'm at my best, I'm not thinking about the leads, So they're as important to me as songwriting, though. That's important to me too. So those two things, they're two different worlds. One of them's more thought out.
Yeah.
One of them's spiritual and comes from somewhere.
What did Upper Hand need that required you to think about it and act differently?
I think I wanted to put something that was congruent to the song, something that was a song within a song, kind of what a David Gilmour might do to something that you would remember. And I've done that in a few songs, maybe in Sirens, I did a version of that. That's a process that I use when I want to add to a song in a certain way. I do want to think about it. And then at the end of it, I don't want to think about it. And that's me at the end of the song not thinking about it.
Yeah, I think about the end of Stevie and I think you guys aren't thinking about it.
No, it's full rock. We're in it. It's really...
you're somewhere else on that.
Yeah.
And
that's the best when that happens.
So Stevie Wonder, everyone's trying to figure it out. I mean, I think I already knew it was Stevie Wonder because we talked Earthling and there was...
I told little Steven it was about him.
There's so many Stevies you can make happy with this story.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks.
Exactly.
Win-win.
I'd love to know a story about waiting for Stevie and answer that question once and for all, what you're willing to share in relation to the experience of Stevie Wonder and the song Waiting for Stevie and how it all comes together.
On the solo thing, Andrew was able to, well, Andrew had worked with Stevie because Stevie was working with Elton, and Andrew was working with Elton, and then they had so Stevie was in that basement and playing this old piano, which was Andrew's Mrs. Mills, and so they had a open line of communication, and then he was going to come down. Now, the whole time before he shows up, you don't think it's really going to happen anyways, because how could this happen? How could you be, is this really going to happen? But sure enough, he showed up and was just incredible. And we recorded late into the night, and one of the great things, like, he doesn't really have a circadian rhythm, so it's just kind of his time. And it was a powerful, powerful thing. But what happened is, in that time between 8 and 11, while we were waiting, Andrew was playing something. I said, did I show you that? And he, no, or something like that. I said, well, here's one I think from No Code. I had this thing from No Code. It was so similar, so then we kind of overlaid them, and then so that was where the riff of the Stevie song came out. You know, when the group joined in, then it just kind of, it achieved liftoff in a big way. And then that was a hard one to write lyrics to, because it was a big fish to catch lyrically.
It's already captured the imagination of a lot of fans. I've been following on the 10 Club forum and whatnot, and people are interested in that song. And I know that to speak as a fan on behalf of the fans, if there's anything about that particular song lyrically that you would want to share, as far as short as you want to go.
You know, I think in the end, I think that it wouldn't be too literal to say that in the end, you know, there's a power to those melodies and the power of the drums and bass and guitars. There's a power to it, and I think I was responding and maybe writing a story about the power of the uplifting power of music, and in a way, it's maybe the story of a young woman being able to connect with that feeling through sound, and then maybe meeting her tribe through other people listening to the same sound.
Is that news to anybody else in the band?
Yeah, sure.
One song I feel like I can ask you about really quickly, and maybe we could be a little more literal. I don't know, maybe I'm missing the point, but it's special, I think. Something Special?
Something Special.
Something Special. I love how you write about love. I love the yearning that you put into your writing. I love the fact that imperfection is part of the experience, and that there's always a sense of reaching for more. Hail Hail is one of my perfect examples of that, and for me personally, as a fan of music, I love the way that you put that in that song. But this one just is such a ode.
The music reminded me of something like After Hours by Velvet Underground or something, you know. Well, if you close the door. That was kind of where I locked into some kind of melody or something. And then it was something I was going through, you know, as a parent or something. Just kind of seeing your kid launch, or both your kids kind of launch into either college or high school. You know, you've known them for a long time, and you've been wholly responsible for their upbringing and keeping them alive, and that becomes a main focus of your life. And then when it's time for them to, like, launch and fly out of the nest, that's what the song is about. And it's just kind of yeah, you know, like okay, good luck.
Would you remember the first time that we met, I'd just become a dad?
I remember I was telling you, yeah, like
it's the last time we were all in the same room together. I'd just become a dad. And it was a really special moment for me, and you showed me photos. You just become a dad.
How many years ago was that?
Nearly 18.
Wow.
And so here we are, still here, and ours is about to do the same thing. So the feeling you're going through, I'm perpetually in, which is that sense of like, okay, there's something new is about to happen. I'm excited for you, but wow, what a change. So it's a beautiful song, and it speaks to that in a really lovely way, man.
Well, I'd like to think that, you know, people who have been listening to us for a while, or they've grown up with us, or, you know, the songs grow, the issues grow, the issues change or evolve, and maybe it may be something that they relate to, you know.
Yeah, like all the ridiculous stuff. It's like all the Amazing Matt Cameron drum heads.
Some John Entwistle, big stage gear and amps.
Yo, that weighs like 400 pounds.
Yeah, so does the name.
Yeah, that's a Marshall stack in a in a cabinet. It's crazy.
The ones carry one wardrobe case with the leather jacket, so that's it. And one of Joey's notebooks is in there with some of the lines about saying goodnight. This is our last show. We're gonna miss you. We're gonna miss all of you. We're not gonna miss each other, but we're gonna miss all of you. Some heavy shit. I don't think he said that, but.
Wow.
But and then it has a stickball bat, which is kind of classic.
Wow.
But if you open it up back in the day, there was like some throat lozenges and the 4 leather jackets.
Just
And a
sitting there.
stickball bat.
So cool.
It's very Ramones.
Like gang. Total
Just a
gang.
thing. And a drum pad. And
Right,
a
right.
stick.
Oh wow! I see that mask. I know that mask.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
That's a
Yep. Good trouble.
yeah.
I just wonder how you've learnt to manage your own passion for the right side of history and for change and to try to be positive and try to be active in that world, but not necessarily feel like you've got to go and headbutt bureaucracy, hypocrisy, and all these fucking shitty things which don't seem to want to go away.
Well, one thing, I'll just start. You want to be careful not to add to the noise. And we all do things that make tangible, practical, positive effects in our either communities or within the medical community, looking for a cure for a disease, or, everybody has issues and functions in being a positive force in this world. Music, you don't want to divide. I think there's a power in, having people join together, be communal, have a communal experience where they're all agreeing on something for 2.5 hours. And there's power in bringing people together. And then from there, then they can take that feeling of community and acceptance and agreeance and positivity and, planting healthy seeds.
I think in terms of like issues and things, trying to deal with things on a local level and do esteemable acts, hopefully throughout the day, or, and try to do things that you have control over maybe a little bit. There's a thing that my friend Whitney Williams has turned me on to, is like you make people without houseless kits of a little bag with socks and a $20 bill and things that people need, and so you hand those out in your car if you see somebody, and those are kind of like mutual aid and trying to do things one-on-one with people and recognize their humanity, and I think that's a cool thing to be part of, and it's kind of part of the ethos of what happens in our band.
Jeff, when you think about 20, I'm thinking about that one scene where the two of you were in that courtroom trying to figure out what the hell are we doing here? Like, we stand for what we believe in, we know this is the right thing to do, but this is not our natural habitat. And I think now you've come through and developed ways, as you put, again, leading by example every day, and not just with one big statement, as much as it makes sense. When you look back on those two young guys in that courtroom, right, who do you see, if you ever saw that film or if you ever thought back to that?
You're talking about the Ticketmaster thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you try to hold on to that idealism that I think it's easy over the course of time to sort of be jaded and sort of like, oh, we fought that fight, it's somebody else's turn, or whatever the deal is. But I keep trying to tap into that person who maybe was naive and went into it feeling like you could make a difference. I think it's easy to feel beaten down. I think particularly now there is so much noise. Like, how do you simplify the message and not just say like, that person's an asshole and people are bad and people are doing bad things, and just say like, love each other. Like, just something really simple, and say like, let's take care of each other. And that means everybody. Just simplify the feeling, but trying to stay in touch with the 25-year-old kid who is like treading water, with like a stack of lawyers around, Ticketmaster lawyers around you. And
it's one of my favorite things in the movie, watching you two just try to suppress.
Terrified.
Insane.
Yeah.
Stone, I wanted to ask you specifically how you feel this album has changed Pearl Jam.
I think we just learned a really great lesson in terms of our trusting each other and our the power of our collaboration in terms of how we each bring something to the table. And we've made records in a lot of different ways, but this experience, when we look back on it, really is everything got touched by everyone. And it just shows that when you're 60, there's still a lot of dreams to be had. There's still a lot of art is still very exciting, and particularly collaborative art. I mean, I think that's where that's our superpower, is that we're still doing it together. There's not a lot of bands that write together like we do, and not a lot of bands that, you know, have singers that want to share in the way that Ed wants to share with us, and that he gets energized by it. That he, you know, that it's we're at our best when we're doing it. So I say more of that. That's exciting territory, because it's a little bit of all of us, and that's something that's kind of original.
I saw 5 of you in this room before playing these new songs for the first time, for me at least. I don't know, maybe it's the closest thing to an audience you've gotten. Sorry about that. It'll be much better at Wrigley Field. Speaking of which, Wrigley Field, man, I mean, crazy shit always happens whenever you go to Wrigley Field. You either win the pennant, or you have to play 8 hours because there's a rainstorm or something's going down. 2 nights in Wrigley Field, it's gonna be crazy.
I haven't thought about it yet. It's way down the, like, don't remind me.
Well, guess what? It's my job now as
Vancouver.
I exit to leave you with this grim reminder, albeit exciting for all of us, that this is a reality. Pretty soon you're going to be out playing some of these places you've played before, probably all of them.
You know, we're also playing, did you guys know we're playing Ohana?
Yeah.
Did you know we're playing 2 nights? Mm-hmm. Okay. Just
I mean,
kinda
if they
found out,
didn't,
but-
that's a hell of a way to book them, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh no, I can't.
Back into renegotiations.
I mean, I might. I mean, I possibly could.
Tricky renegotiations.
How did Stone get the presidential suite? Did you know who's playing in between us?
No.
Neil Young.
Awesome.
And Crazy Horse. Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. Has that been announced?
Amazing.
Hasn't been announced, has it?
It is now, baby.
Awesome. Whoa.
That's fucking
I hope he hangs
insane.
out.
And the only
Get
way
him up
you
there.
can come to that is if you agree to play.
Okay,
the
I'm
same
in.
thing.
But you have to give Neil your room.
Oh, it turns out Neil has the presidential suite. You're
I mean,
out.
if there's mirror
Neil can
ball
get it.
action, that would be the dream come true.
wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Ed, you know, the way that you make these set lists now is what's the word?
Torture.
Yeah, torture. There you go. We'll take that. Yeah, you made that rod for your back, and we all appreciate it. Is what I'm really trying to say. We know what you put into it, and it's a big part of this kind of lifelong desire to see the band over and over again. It's my job now to ask each member of the band before we leave. Perhaps we could just go down the line and see if there's one song you haven't played for a while that you know you would love to hear on this tour.
Can't Keep. We haven't played that one in a while, and I think that'll be fun to pull up again.
It sounded good this morning, playing along with it.
You played. Oh yeah.
It's a
You guys play that one?
well.
No. We kind of had it on a little list of things that maybe to check
But
out.
just hearing the record version.
Hey, no playing without Ed. Come on, guys.
This is about to turn into some kind of monster really
protocol
quickly.
any longer?
What about you, Mike? Any thoughts?
Okay, it's a cover, and it would be in Australia. There's this band called Angel City, who are also named as the Angels, and there's a song called No Secrets.
Nice.
That I would love us to play. But that's my dream.
Jeff?
Well, I mean, now that I know that Neil is playing the middle show, I'm thinking Down by the River with the whole band. That
That would be awesome.
Or Cortez, 30-minute
Cortez.
version.
Yeah.
Oh, 3
ocean.
sweet chords, man. 3
Oh,
sweet
the
chords.
ocean.
Oh,
That's one that.
dreamy.
Matt, seeing as how everyone else is going to get it in the neck later on, I may as well put you in the same boat. What, any songs
Oh,
in
set list?
particular? Yeah.
Well, you know, Eddie's always been open to suggestions. It's not like a
I know, I'm
set in
just
stone
playing
kind of thing. I remember we played Leatherman for a couple tours. I like that one. And then the first tune on Into the Wild, what's that one called? I forget.
Oh,
I love that record.
Setting Forth?
Setting Forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Setting Forth. That's always a fun one to play.
That one's great to hear real drums on. That's good.
Yeah, I think some of the more obscure ones, it's always fun to pull those out of the hat.
Yeah.
There's one we've never played. It would take a while. It would be taking a class for a whole quarter to just learn one song. But I've been listening, I was just telling Matt, there's a Wellwater song that they recorded, and him and this great guy, John McBain, that was basically Wellwater. They gave me an instrumental that was one of the harder songs I've ever had to, it was Rubik's Cube-like, and it's one of my favorite things, and I actually really appreciate the lyrics. and the delivery on that song. But it's called Felicity's Surprise. It would be so fun to play that thing. But it's
We started practicing now. We might by the end.
We get to New Zealand.
now
It's a handful.
it would be a goal for New Zealand, exactly.
See you
right.
November 10th when you guys are in Auckland, you'd be like, okay, guys, we're going to break out this
told
well
them.
water record. Here we go.
We can fuck up a song too, man. Give us a chance. We'll torture an arrangement.
It sounded great backstage. But, you know, there's not a whole lot we haven't touched on of all the numbers. For example, I think the last leg of touring was maybe 10 or 12 shows.
6.
But I think we played about 102 different songs within those 6 shows. Wow. I guess you'd say we go out of our way to try to and try to make people happy.
So the other thing that happens is you come home from a tour,
Yeah.
you have like 2 bags with like T-shirts and stuff that people give you on the road.
Yeah.
And you throw it in a bin, and then 30 years later you have like you
wow.
have bins of stuff that you don't even like. Mike McCready's got like old vintage potato heads because he was all into potato heads. This is the Andrew Watt, like he would, you know.
Oh, this is the bin of shirts.
That's the
This is what I recorded the
No.
first tape on.
That's the Mama song?
Yeah. The 244 test cam.
That is crazy. I mean, I don't want to be too weird about it, but that
sound
thing
good. Those things
changed
sound
your
good, man.
life. That thing
Oh.
changed your life.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. $400 I got it for, and I think 1985.
a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, but they were going, I think, 800. It was a student, and I was in San Diego as a student that she'd taken a recording class, bought one of these for $800 or something,
Right.
and then
Didn't use it anymore.
didn't use it, flunked the class, and then
Right. You got
$400 changed my life.
Yeah, it changed your life.
unused.
Yeah, and that was just sitting there waiting for you when you came out of the water that day, just sitting there.
I remember, I think the day that I sent the tape, there was an article about Rolling Stone. It was like Mother Love Bone from the Ashes or something. It was a picture of you, Stone, and I think Bruce near the water or something.
Standing in the water.
You had a Love Co.
Watching.
shirt on.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I think these are the guys, you know. I didn't really know Mother Love Bone. I knew a bit of Soundgarden. I'd seen them. And Mudhoney, even I had a little group that opened. Yeah, but I didn't know. And I was like, I think these are those guys, you know. Oh, did you know? So we were talking about going through stuff. So there's a version of this in my house. There's a little basement garage thing. And it's got a lot of like papers and you know, just like this, you know, just full of papers and you know, and you almost want to just like toss it. I don't know what's in there. I haven't seen it for 5 years. What am I going to miss? And then, but then you go through and there's some things, you know, a letter from Pete Town, or, you know, a few things that you're glad you saw. And then there was 2 letters and they were written from the hotel that I stayed at the first week I was up here. It's called the Vance
Right.
Hotel. I think it's still there on Stewart Street. And it was that stationery, and it was sealed, and it was to my brother Chris with no address. It was never sent, and it was sealed, and he's since passed. I opened it up, and it said, "Dear Chris, I'm sitting backstage at some little joint. It's called the Off Ramp. We're about to play our first show. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's been a good solid week of music or whatever, and we'll see. It could be, you know, the beginning of a journey or walking off a cliff." I don't know what it kind of said, something like that. I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. This is like written an hour before our first ever
Never seen
show. It was a second envelope, sealed, says Stone and Jeff. We haven't opened it yet. We don't know what it says.
Can I guess? Guys, I had a great week of making music with
If
you.
this doesn't work out,
just
fuck
over
you
to-
guys. I gave it my best.
That came up the other day, just like somebody asked me, like, how long did it take, you know, after Mother Love Bone, you know, until the, and I was like, it's crazy how fast it all happened.
Yeah.
For me, it was the only way that it probably could have happened, but like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's it's almost where you start to think like, oh, some hand came down and said like, oh, you guys are having a rough go. Here's.
I hear your logic would suggest, but in my 50 years on this planet, I can't come up with a better story than something I don't know. And so I like the idea. Actually, I've leaned into the intangible in that regard because,
for sure.
you know, when you show us that incredible little gadget from the 80s that was like mind blowing, and now it sits there, thank God it's archived beautifully. But I wasn't kidding. That thing changed lives. Like,
And me getting the tape and playing it and going like, holy
Yeah.
shit. And then
That's
that
right.
was when I called Stone and said like, yeah, you got to come over, man. Like, it's pretty good.
you ever gonna open that letter?
Yeah, we gotta do it together.
What do you think it says?
Probably just, you know, thanks, it was fun, you know.
Yeah.
Hope I was a good fuck. Hope I was a good lady. I'll never see you again. I know I'll never see you again, but
Oh,
thanks
man.
for trusting me. Thanks for believing. You know, I mean, one thing I'll say, there's some groups that have been around for as long as we have, or, you know, done well for themselves or whatever, that I don't think they have this. Yeah, we're just really grateful. I can't imagine, in fact, it's one of the reasons I think, in some ways too, keeps us together. And we can't not tour for a whole year, take a whole year off completely, because there's another thing that keeps us together. We got to pay for the joint as well. But, and all the good people in it. You know, this is full of good people and family members that we've kind of grown up with since day one. Mm-hmm. And the organizational skills and the camaraderie, and it's all part of it. You know, if it's a garden, it's well manicured. And it's also like a musician's dream to look around and see this many amps and guitars. I think it's an achievement, and I think we're all proud of it.